Hey, how's it going? So, on this betting live stream, I'd like to look at some data. So far, I've been placing my bets just based off of what I think, but I think so far I've been losing. And so I think to really get an edge here, we need to look at data. There are several ways to look at data, and I've done this in the past, but I haven't live streamed it. Um, the first thing I want to look at, which I'll demonstrate here, is how the line moves over time. So um, you see the lines often move from the opening to the closing. So for the NFL, it'll usually open on like today, Monday. The lines will open and then they'll close right before the game. So you have about a week for the line to move. And over the course of that time, it does move pretty significantly. Um, and so, if you could play that the right way, and if you know how the line's going to move, you can you can get an edge before the game even starts. So, um, I have this Commanders versus Cowboys game here, and this hopefully should demonstrate it. What I'm talking about, how you can make money without before the game even starts. So, the money line opened at minus 435 for the Cowboys. Basically bet $435 to win $100, and plus 339 for the Commanders. And the line moved heavily in favor of the Cowboys before the game began. Now, if you knew the line was going to move in heavily in favor for the Cowboys, you could bet this minus 435 on the Cowboys, and then later, right before the game starts, the odds around here plus 550 on the Commanders. So you could have minus 435 on the Cowboys and plus 550 on the Commanders. And then if you put enough money down, you can win money either way, no matter who wins. Um, and that's because, say for instance, I'll just do an example, minus 435. So say you bet $435 on the Cowboys here. And if the Cowboys win, then you make $100. Um, you would then get to the point where so um so yeah, if you were to put 435 on the Cowboys here, you could win $100. And then the yeah, I'm huh? No. I know, so it's just my voice. Yeah, what's that mean? You? You're a hijinks? Um I'm not even playing a game. This is scraping data. So I'm trying to make money from betting. Yeah, and you could steal all the data from this website. But normally you'd have to pay hundreds of dollars. But no, it's just on YouTube. Nobody watches. So I could stop in the middle of it and have a conversation. It's not very interesting. But if I could get good at betting, then people. Yeah, you have to be good at it. You have to have some edge, but So if you know how the line's going to move, you could have bet $435 on the Cowboys here, and that will win you 100 if it wins. And then right before the game starts, you could have placed 100 on Washington to win 520. Um, so now in the event that the Cowboys win, you lost the $100 that you bet on Washington, but you win a $100 on your Cowboys bet. In the event that Washington wins, you lose the $435 that you bet on the Cowboys, but you win $520. So you basically have a no risk bet on Washington. And you can manipulate the numbers so that you can have equal risk on both teams, you win no matter what. You can have or you can have a no risk bet on the Cowboys. And have it so that if the Cowboys lose, nothing happens. But if the Cowboys win, your bet hits. So this is kind of a way to cover. And so I want to be able to predict how the line's going to move based on um, how the team has done previously against the spread. So something that you'll often see happen is if we look at the trends, um, we'll see how a team's trending against the spread. So Dallas is 4-1 against the spread in the last 5 games, and that means that the spread is going to tend to go in the favor of Dallas. Um, Similarly, when you have things like the total has gone over in Dallas, 6 of Dallas has lost 9, or if you just have a trend where a team tends to be going over, that's going to push the line up because people are going to like to bet the over for that team. And so basically, if you know the history of the spread data and then you know the history of if you know the history, the spread and the money line kind of go together. So if you know the history of the spread, you can kind of know the history of the money line. There's a little bit of nuance. It changes a little bit, um, but generally they kind of go together. And then there's the total for the game, which is its own thing. Um, and but so we don't really need the money line data for now to start out. You'll see why I'm skipping out on that in a sec. If we have the spread data and the money line data, those kind of translate to one another. Huh? Oh, thanks. Do you like it? From the No, heart. I think it's just two crossed rackets. Maybe it is. It it was the cheapest hat at Five Below. It was $5. Whoa, what the heck? Thank you. No, but I could come help look. Oh, wow. It's right here on my desk. Okay, so kind of as a first go, I'd like to look at how a team's performing against the spread in their last however many games, or how they generally tend to perform against the spread. Um, or yeah, so basically look at how a team's performing against the spread. Also look at how a team's performing against the total, and then look at that for both teams, and then try to predict how the line's going to move and how violently the line is going to move. And so to get that data, we need the history of the line. We need the history of the line movement for a fair amount of games. Now, to do that, we need to pay for data. Usually, that's expensive. If you don't have any money like me, then you can't pay for data. But also, if you're like me, you like coding in Python, and so you know how to scrape the information from the web yourself. So we can go on OddShark, and they have the money line history for I don't know how many games they have, but they have a lot of games. Now this looks kind of complicated to scrape, um, but it does go back a lot of seasons. Um, we could go back to 2014, week 12. Let's see if they have betting data here. Um, oh yeah. Well, so they don't have the line movement for these old games. Well, at least for 2014. Why did it go? Yeah, I don't know why it keeps going back to 2023 here. If we go to 2015, so basically what we want to find here is when's the last time that they showed the line history. Um, don't have it here. Don't have it for 2015. 2016. Do they have the line history? Yeah, so they're kind of limited in data. Um, I don't even know when the most recent season they would have line history is. Maybe for 2017? Oh, yep, line history. So 2017 is when they started having the history for this. So if we scrape Oddshark, we can get this fine-grained data, which is pretty good, with a history of the lines. Um, Now for also found this website that has the opening and closing for the spread and the total. Um, and this goes through. This has week one data. You can get it for each week. You can change the URL. Pretty sure. Oh no, you can't. Week 3, week 2, week 1. Oh, that's interesting. Request header fields too large. Server refused this request. I wonder why it's doing that. Um, this could cause a problem for us because if it won't retrieve the web page, then we can't really access that data and we're going to have to do the Oddshark data. Clear your cookies. Hmm. Okay, I think it should work. I mean, let's go try to scrape this data. So I've set up this script here that's supposed to scrape the data. Right now, all I have is manager for the WebDriver. Um, Copy and pasted that from some other code I wrote. If you guys are interested, I'll do a tutorial for how to set up the WebDriver later. And then I just have this test in this file, so it runs this, and all it does is go and try to get the that web page that we were just looking at. So if we do that here, yep. Okay, so it pulls it up and gets the web page for us. Now, let's look at this. We're going to want to think about the classes we're going to want to make. So, um, all right. Um, so we're going to want to break this down and do a class for each. So split up the window. Okay. Now, okay, that's the driver handler. Now, what are the classes we want to make? The first class to make is for this page. So week page. Um, and that's initialized with a week number that defaults to 1. Week num, and then we're going to make the URL is equal to that. All right, so now we have the URL. All right, so what are the other classes we want? We have this class. Now this is for the whole page. Now we also want another class for the table. And there's a different table for each year, so we could call that year table. And that should get a element passed in, and that element should be the table element. Okay. And we could take that out. All right, so now I have a class for the table. Now we want a class for a game in the table. And we should pass in the element for the table. Oops, sorry, the element for the row. All right. Um, okay. So what we want to do is go in and get the tables. Um, all right. Um, all right. Now we're writing a flag for testing the table. And now if test table is equal to true, we're going to write our table test. So okay, and for week page, we should add a function get tables. Self week page. All right, so we want to get the tables. Let's inspect this. I don't know. It was easier to see on here. And so now I'm trying to find this table. So I just want the blue highlight to be on just that table. Right now it's on the whole thing. All right, and finally there's the table. Um, okay, so then we get the table. Class equals data tables wrapper. Table class equals views table calls a data table has column hidden. Data tables wrapper. So the question is what class to get if we get everything that's of type table. Will it work? Um, so we could do self.tables is equal to um, week page, and then we could initialize the weeks page with the driver handler, and then okay, um, define get URL, and so this is just a function that gets the URL self.d.get http is .get http of self.url, and that gets the web address. So okay, I had to eat some food. So that should pull up the web address. Um, all right. Um, self dot page retrieved. All right. Now this is a Boolean to tell us whether the page has been retrieved. Um, and then it's overwritten to true after we get the page. And then in get tables, if page retrieved is equal to false, self dot get URL. Go ahead and retrieve the page if it hasn't yet been retrieved, and then tables is equal to self dot d dot find elements. Selenium Python find elements. Forget if it's find elements or get elements. Find elements. Self.d dot driver dot find elements. And we want to find elements by CSS selector. And I'm wondering if just selecting for table will be sufficient for us. Table, yep, all lowercase. All right. So, um, uh, test tables, week page. Oh man, so if test table is equal to true, all right, we want to test week page. So get tables is in there. So if test week page is equal to true, Um, if test week page is equal to true, W is equal to, so we're going to create an object of type week page, and the week number is equal to 1, and then we're just going to go W get tables, self.tables, and then we're going to do we're going to go print out the whatever's in each table. So for table in w.tables, and we're going to print whatever the text is for that table. Okay. Oh, and that's a lot of text, but it looks like it's retrieving the tables. Um, huh? Oh, I did that? I. Yeah, sorry. The coffee table? The coffee table? I'm sorry. That was dumb. Boy, you're on my gum all over here. Sorry. Oh, yeah. Pat's gum. It's just my YouTube. Pat. Yeah, my YouTube at, you can make it handle is at underscore underscore cat. And then my name's just Pat on the. I have no idea. So people are. Oh, yeah, no worries. Oh, that was the name of a murderer I was listening about today. He beheaded him. I know a Charlie Miller who is a very nice guy. Oh, that's cool as fuck. Just like your brother. You should go by that though. Cat Bone, that'd be cool as fuck. Cat Bone. Well, I think you can. Oh yeah. Is that why you didn't want to do it when you were a kid? Oh, I thought you were gonna say because. I thought it was gonna be sexual. Yeah, I thought that's what they. Oh, really? Yeah. I had a roommate whose last name was Heine. Oh, that's pretty. Lauren Heine. It's a German name, Heine. Everyone whose name is Bonner gets screwed with that. Bone I've never even heard of. Yeah, they're like grave diggers or some shit. Yeah. That's usually how it goes. I could see that. Because that's yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, bone just means good in French, so maybe you're just good. It's like the word Coke, or the name Coke. Oh, oui, well, especially if your name was Cat Bone, like that just sounds like literally like you're just the bone of a cat, like just cat bone. You know where the glasses of the water are. All right, so that gets the text for each table. But we don't want that because that's a lot. So just to look at that, the first table, comment that out, and let's rerun the script. Huh. W.tables of 0. Get data. WebDriver.com. Executable. I don't even know what that means. I'm just gonna try exiting out of here and then starting anew. Executable path. I wonder what happened. This was just working. No problem. Line 49. Self.options. All right, well, let's just turn that to 0. And now let's just do test driver. Back to the simple case. Yeah, okay. I guess the driver just doesn't work anymore. Well, this might... I spent a while trying to make sure I got the driver correctly before. Oh. Okay, now that works. Get data.py 49 command not found. What? This is honestly just confusing. Oh, no, that's not it. Alright, let's do it one more time. Okay, so that works. And take off the driver test. Add the weak page test. Alright. Weak page of 1. Alright. Now let's sleep. We might need to give it a little bit of time after retrieving the page. Page retrieved is equal to true. And then let's wait for half a second. Alright. And then it pulls up the data, but it doesn't print the text. Alright. Let's go back to what it was doing before and see if we could get it to print all that text again. Yep. For table and w.tables, w.tables of 0.text, I don't see how that's any different. Oh, I wasn't printing it. It's just sending that as a line. So now we can delete them. And let's just look at the first table. See if we could get the text for the first table. Yep. Okay. So um so that gets the table, and then in the table we want to break up according to what? Table. All right. Okay, and then let's get the caption. So let's see if we could get that table caption. So get tables, self.tables, uh, for, okay, and then this is a single table, and then we're gonna do define get caption of self, and we already have the table, so getting the caption should be no problem. Um, okay, and we're gonna do a list comprehension, and that gives us each element, but we don't actually want each element. We want a year table object of each element. So we can go year table of I for I in that whole thing in each element. So okay, now we have a year table. Now get caption of self. Um, and so then we do self dot, okay, go to the table element and then get what's it called? Get find elements. Self.table.find element, and we want to find it by CSS selector. And what's that called? Caption? Caption. All right. And then caption element self. Don't really want caption. That should just be table title element self dot title is equal to table title element dot text. Okay, so then that gets the title. Um, all right, and all right, so that gets tables for table and table. Print w dot tables of 0 dot text for table and tables. For table and w dot tables. For table and w dot tables. On each of those is a year table. Table dot get title. So let's go get the title for the table, and then we're gonna print table dot title. The title for, okay, now print the title for each table to make sure we're not grabbing tables that we don't really care to look at. A web element object is not callable. Self.table element. Oh, duh. Self.table element dot find element. Alright, back to here. Nice. So, yeah. So that looks like it's only getting the tables we care about. So that gives us a year table for each, and then uh, hmm. Okay. So that gets tables, so we know that we're getting each table. Now, test table is equal to true. So for test table, we could just focus on the first table in here, and then table is equal to w dot tables of 0. So that just gets the first table. Now we're gonna do um um so let's see. That gets the table label, but get row. Should we get row headers or get rows? All right, table, and then we have caption, then thed. Oh, T head. Oh, damn, that's nice. T head. All right, so uh get call names. All right, so now we have a function for getting the column names, and column names element is equal to self dot table element dot find element, and we want to find element according to its CSS selector, and the CSS selector that we care about is thead. All right, so now you have the column names, and then self.column names is equal to column names element dot text. Oh, I forgot to add this. So for table to print table dot title, table dot. So instead of get title, we want to do. Oh no, now we want to test table. So w dot get tables. Table is this. Table dot get call names. Print table dot common column names. All right, that should work. All right. Road v home, date, road open spread, road close spread, open total. Hmm. Road open spread, road close spread. All right. So the problem here is we're not getting all columns because it's not opening in full screen. Selenium open window in full screen. Driver.manage. Oh, here we go. Driver.manage window.window.maximize. All right, so as soon as we pull up the window, we want to maximize it. So in driver handler self.d.driver.manage.window.maximize. Self.d.driver. There we go. All right. Now let's run it again. Driver handler has no attribute driver. That's only once it's been instantiated. So let's take it out of there. All right. And then let's maximize that. Oh, WebDriver object does no attribute manage. Well, that's not a fix then, is it? Oh man, driver. That's not what I'm. Oh, that must be in Java. Driver dot full screen window. Okay, that should work pretty well. Driver dot self dot d dot driver dot full full screen window. Hmm. I'm not never even finished opening? Or what? Keep showing it. What's that? Huh. That's interesting. It doesn't appear there's actually. Hmm. Now what is going on there? Okay. Well, it looks like the window itself isn't all the way big, but the screen under the window looks like it's all the way big. And it ends with closing total. So we do closing total. Pretty sure that's the last column we want to access. Yep. All right. Now we just have to figure out a way to split this up. So, um, T body, T head, there's TR, TH. Okay. So then under that we could get TH. So uh, column names element is that, but then uh, column names elements is equal to column names element dot find element. All right. Now we want to find the element by CSS selector, and the CSS selector we want to look for is TR. All right. Now dot find elements, so it gets a list of them for us, and then for name in, so call names is equal to an empty list. Oh, call names is equal to name dot text for name in column names elements. And then self dot column names is equal to call names. All right, now let's look at what that looks like. Okay, so that's all just one big thing. Column names elements. TR. Oh, not TR, we want TH. All right. TH. All right, now let's try it one more time. Nice. So now it gets column title for us. All right. Um, all right, your table. Now we have a game. A game should just be a single row. Uh, all right, all right. Now your table, week page. Now we could say define get. All right, now let's add another Boolean. Starts out as false because we haven't retrieved them. Now call names retrieved is equal to true. If call names retrieved, so we're basically saying that if the column names haven't yet been retrieved, go ahead and get the column names. All right, now we want to go through and get each row. So rows self.rows is equal to self.driver, not driver, but it should be just yeah, I guess self.table element dot get dot find elements, and then we want to find them by CSS selector, and you could go watch it. Just look up Pat LaChapelle. All right, so we have the rows, but the question is, are we going to end up with the header? T-head or the title? Nope, because they have their own thing. Sorry. All right, so we're trying to find what the row elements look like. It's probably just TR. Okay, table t-body. Alright, so get body and then get each row in the body. So self.body and select by t-body, and then self.rows is equal to self.body dot find. Now this one should just be find element because we're just getting the body. There should just be one of those. Now this one is find elements, and we want to find them by, again, CSS selector. And now we want to get every table row that's part of that table body. And then finally, yeah, this should be good for now. And get games. All right, your table. So test table, table.get column names, table.get games. Table.get games for row in table.rows, print row.text. So that should print the text for each row. So call names retrieved, so should be self.call names retrieved is equal to false. Self.get call names, okay. Okay, so so the rows look good. We know we're not getting any rows we don't want. Starts with Dallas at Tampa Bay and it goes all the way down to Baltimore at Las Vegas. Yep. All right. So we know that it's getting every row. Okay, so now that we know that it's getting every row, we don't want just the elements. We want a game object for each element. All right. Now we need test row. All right, get rid of test table. Now we're just gonna test row. Slab City. All right, so now if we want to test the row, so then we do table.getGames. Table.getGames, instead of rows, this should say games. And then for this one, all right, now back here, test row is equal to true. You're gonna say this thing, table.getGames. All right. And then we're gonna game is equal to table.games of 0. So we just want to look at the first game. And then All right, so and element labels. Now I get column names, self dot column names. So then games, the second argument here. If we forget about the list comprehension, self dot column names. All right, now pass that in. Now let's create a function called retrieve data, and it will retrieve the data for the row. All right, so now we have just this single row. We want to say data elements. Oop, gotta take that slash out. Data elements is equal to self.game element dot get not get from find elements dot find elements. And then how do we want to find them? We want to find them by CSS selector, and then each element looks like what? TR. Inside of that, there's a TD. All right, so let's get TD, the TD element, and that should be each sub-element for the table. Now, what could we say? We could say for label in for C data item in enumerate data elements. So for each item in the elements, we can say that first we start with our info dictionary, and then we can say that the dictionary, our information dictionary um, of labels. Well, now we have to save labels when we initialize it. Self.labels is equal to labels. Now we can go for each item and enumerate data elements info of self.labels of C is equal to data item dot text. And then finally, we can say return our information dict. Okay, so now for test game, we could say retrieve data of that game, test row, game equals that, and then game dot retrieve data. Return info, but then we could also just say self.info is equal to info, and then down here we can just say print self.info. All right, now let's run the script, see how it's doing. Tables is not defined. Game equals tables dot games. Line 147. Game equals tables dot games. Game equals table dot games. Save it. Run it again. List object has no attribute, find elements. Game element is equal to element. Game self.body.find elements. Okay, so the game we actually want to call. All right. All right, game of self.column names, but we don't want to call that whole thing. We just want to call the element. So game of element for element in that whole thing. All right, so now we're gonna go retrieve every element. Do that for each element, get a game for each element. All right, now let's run the script and let's see how it goes. Self is not defined. Yarg. There is no self.info. There's only game.info. Oh good, there's the data dictionary. Now we just have to pretty print it. Game info. So we can say, let's just go through for key in game info dot keys. Print, and we want to look at the key, and then we also want to look at the value. Game info of key. Game info of key, yeah. Alright, and what's that look like? Might be stuck. For key in game info.keys, game.retriever, game.info.keys, not game underscore info. Alright, so let's go to game.info.keys. Now we'll try to get it. Alright, and what's that print out as? Road versus home. Alright, let's make sure that everything looks correct here. So our scraped data, let's get rid of that, minimize that. Alright, and scrape data. Road versus home, Dallas 29 at Tampa Bay 31. The date is 2021-09-09. Road open spread is 6.5. 6.5. Yep. Road closed spread is 10. Yep. Opening total is 52. That's right. And then minus 6.5 for the home open spread. Home open spread minus 6.5. Home closed spread minus 10. Yep, and closing total 53. So now we've scraped all data for a game. So that was the test. Now, what do we want to do? we want to build yet another class to control the scraping. So we can say, let's make a class called scraper, and when we initialize this class, what do we want to do? What information do we want to give? Well, we don't really need to give any information because we know the site that we're going to. And scrape. Okay, so then let's make a scrape function that will scrape a certain week and year. All right. Now, week and year. Huh. Um, get tables. So this gets all tables. So what if we just want to get a table for 1 year? That's get all tables. Now let's do another function for get table, and we just want to get the table for a certain year. Now in test table, we are printing the text for every row in the table. Now, we're testing every row in the table, but we don't want to do that. We want to get the table title, but I don't think. Oh yes, get title. So get table. All right. So now we want to look at the title for the table. If test table is equal to true, table.getGames, table dot, well, let's just do another one called test table title. Okay, let's add the boolean here. Test table title is equal to 1 because we want to do that test. Okay, test table. Okay, now let's say if test table title is equal to true. We want to do the same thing, just go ahead and get a table. Then let's do table.getTitle. Table.getTitle and then print self.title. All right, table.getTitle. And then print self, print table dot title, and then let's put the debugger in right here so we can mess around with that string and get the year out of it. Oops, define get all tables. So this one I need to pass get all tables. Right, so instead of get table, now it should be get all tables. w.getAllTables, and instead of get tables, get all tables. All right. Now let's run it and see what we could do with that string. Scrape of week, year. Right. This one we also want to pass. All right. Now let's run the script and see what we can do with this string. All right, now table, we have the title, table dot title. Table dot title of, oh man, -4 to -1. Um, -4 to 0, -4 till. Nice. All right, so we can just add that to the table. Year table, get column, get title. Self.year is equal to integer of self.title -4 till. Okay. And then get table. So if we just want to get a table for a certain year, self.tables is equal to that thing. Now, self.tables is equal to that. Now, for table in self.tables, oh, we could actually just copy that whole thing. Get table of year. For table in self.tables. Alright, so get table for year. Now for each table, we want to do table.getTitle. Okay, and this should be an int. Table.getTitle. Now if table.year is equal to year, if table.year is equal to year, my table is equal to table. Now here we're gonna do found table is equal to false because we're gonna assume that we haven't found it. Now if we do find it, found table is equal to true. What the hell? Now finally we want to do here that if we did not find the table, we want to raise an exception. Data, or we could say table not found for year, week, self.weekNum. All right, so if we didn't find the table, return that now. Or if we didn't find the table, raise that exception, and then we want to return the table that we're looking for. Okay. Scraper, scrape week year. Now, if we just want to scrape 1 week for a year, we can say that page is equal to week page and the week number is week, and then we can say page dot get table of year. Now my table is that. Now week year. No, year. No, in table. All right, now I'm gonna do a Boolean for whether the games have been retrieved. All right, now, oh, here we could say self.games retrieved is equal to true because now we've got the games. And then let's just call a function get data. So now we want to get data, and we want to get the data for the games. So if self.games. So if we have not retrieved the games yet, self.getGames. Okay, so now that we've got the games, we say for game in self.games. For game, now we return info for retrieve data. Now info is equal to retrieve data. Retrieve data. And I guess what do we want the structure to look like? Because when we return the data, it looks like this. So it's just a dictionary of some data. I mean, it really looks like that because it's a dictionary. So what do we want to look like? We road versus home. We could just get a list of these dictionaries. But I don't know if I can save that as JSON. We could make the key road v home and date. We probably have to clean this up a little bit. So road v home. We could just say Dallas at Tampa Bay and the date. Okay. Let's see. Python. I mean, yeah, so that's kind of the big question is how do we want to save this data? We could scrape that, save it as its own JSON file, and save a JSON file for each game. We can do some editing so that we can get a unique key for each game. For instance, mess around with the road v home data. We could strip out scores and just get this to be Dallas at Tampa Bay. And then strip the date data so we could just be like Dallas at Tampa Bay this year. That date, I mean. Ultimately, there should be an ID with date, game. Each game should have its own ID, and then that would be easier to format. Um, but we really care about just scraping this data. So yeah, let's just put it in a JSON file. Um, all right, so we could have a main folder in for so a data folder. Inside the data folder, there's a folder for each week or a year. Yeah, that's what we should do. We should put in data for a year, and then inside each year folder, there's folders for each week. And then inside each week folder is a JSON file for each game that happened that week. So, um, so for here, you're doing get data. So retrieve data. Info is equal to game.retrieve data. Game.retrieve data. Okay. And oh, good. This is a thing from another project. Don't look at it. I hope it should be fine. There's nothing to even look at here. And there are a couple functions from there that I've been using that make my life easier when dealing with JSON files. So putting those there, that basically writes a dictionary to JSON. This loads a dictionary from JSON. Save to JSON. So now we want to save it to JSON. My dict and then file name, scraper, um, week page, get tables, get all tables, info is equal to game.retrieve data. Yeah, we may as well just make this a list here, and then we could return data, which will be a list of dictionaries containing the data for each row. Oh yeah, that's just for a single year table. Dot get data, scraper, scrape week year, table equals page dot get table, page dot get table of year. Table is equal page dot get table of year. All right, now what's our directory look like? Just continue. All right, let's make a directory for data. Now we say if not os.path.exists. So if the data path does not exist, data slash year. We're going to make that directory. All right, and then also if this path does not exist, data slash year slash week. We're going to make that directory. All right, now okay, so if it doesn't exist, we're going to get data slash year slash week. All right, Now, if not os.path.exists, all right, so now we've got that. Now we've got table. Now we've got info equals table dot get data. All right, so for item and info. What's save to JSON? Now we want to save to JSON. Oh. Well, we can't save each game. That's just pointless. Oh man. Okay, so, we are gonna have to make a key. Unless you just save it as for item and info, save to JSON, my dict f name. So save to JSON, the first thing is info. So for C item in enumerate info, save to JSON info. And then the file name should be, for C item, so for each item, the file name should be data slash year slash week, data slash year slash week slash c dot JSON. So it's just going to index them and save to JSON files. Then later we can go work with those JSON files and pull all of the data out. When you're scraping from the internet, sites change what they have up. They might figure out, hey, this could be scraped. We want to take it down. They might just change how the site's laid out. They might change the structure. And so for those reasons, when you're scraping, you really want to get the scrape done, get the data in that's there, and then any cleaning of data you can do after the fact. So this works as a way of just getting all of the data into folders. And that scrapes for a single week. So now let's add a Boolean to test the scraper. So the table title test is done. Now let's go to test scraper. If test scraper is equal to true. Oops, scrauper. If test scraper is equal to true. S equals scraper and S dot scrape. Okay. And then we want to scrape week year. So we want to scrape week 1 from the year 2021. And then we want to see how that goes. So get table. Oh, oh yeah, get table of self and year. Driver handler object has no attribute driver. 131. What? Line 131 in get table. Self.table, self. Oh. So has the driver not been initialized? Self.tables equals self.d. Oh, so here we could say if self.page retrieved is equal to false, go ahead and retrieve the page. Okay, now how's that do? Web element has no attribute get title. So for line 136 in get table, table.get title, tables equal to that, self.tables equal to. All right. That was because it was web elements and not the table elements I want to work with. So it doesn't have attribute get title because it's a web element. I wrote get title as a function for the table elements. Get data takes 0 positional arguments, but one was given. Line 160. Get data. Table.get data. Again, forgot to include the self keyword. All right, now how's that work? All right, please pass in a service object, self.driver. What? Oh, that was just a warning. I think it might have gotten our data now. Let's see. Oh, that's not what I want. Oops, not there. Personal stuff. That project. What's this spread history data? Oh, I forgot. It's not there. It's in Ubuntu. All right, spread history data. Data 2021 1. Nope, not in there. Python 3 get data.py and s.scrape 1 2021. S.scrape 1 2021. So it's going here 1 2021 save to JSON. For C item and an info is equal to table.getData. All right. Now let's print info. Or not print info, let's put in the debugger right there. Nice, so it hit the debugger. Now let's look at info. Why is nothing saving to info? Info is equal to table.getData. Table.getData. Oh. So that should just be data.append that. All right, so let's hope this works. There's the debugger line. We're gonna continue. Okay, for game and self.games, data.append, that thing. Now let's look, is there anything in here? Yes, there is, nice. All right, now how's this look? Uh-oh, did it save the same thing for each? 8. Yeah, it gets the same game for each. Get data, if self.games retrieve, self.getGames, self.games, okay, game.retrieve data. So it's getting the same game. Game of element self.column names for element and self.body.find elements. So for C item and enumerate info. So I guess let's just look at what info looks like is really what we want here. Okay, so now we're in info. So for C item and enumerate info, save to JSON. Oh, not info. We want to save item. All right, now let's delete all that. All right, now let's continue. And I think this should work. And let's find where that debugger line is. Oh, there's another debugger line. Take that out. And take out that one. All right. Now we should scrape everything for that game. All right. Now, we don't want to go to this page. I guess we want to figure out what's the maximum number of times we want to go to this page per hour. Max web testing, how often to visit per hour. Not testing. Web scraping. Is there a limit to how often I should access? Well-behaved bots are querying the robots.txt file and following it. Are making requests spaced by a few seconds. So if requests are spaced by a few seconds, let's go look really quick and see how long does it take us to do this whole thing once. All right, so I guess I forgot to time that to see how long it takes. Oh no. We'll do a crude timer. All right, now let's queue that up. and time it. All right, how long till it's done? 8.8 seconds. Now, all right, now let's do scrape all. All right. All right. So we know that the scraper works for if we give it a week and a year. We know that the all right, so then for scrape all weeks, so weeks is 1 through 16. Week 17. Now, I don't know if that will work. Let's see if we could get week 17 on here. All right, now, will this work? Nice. So week 17 data exists. I don't think they will have week 18 data, but let's go see. Oh, okay, so they do. But we'll ignore that for now. Weeks equals that. Years is equal to 2021, and it goes all the way down to what, 2004, 2007, 2007 to 2021. Twenty 14, 2015, 2016, 2018, 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020, and 2021. All right, scrape all weeks, years, and now we can do for year in years, and then we can do for week in weeks. Self dot scrape, and we want to scrape that week and year. Week equals week, year is equal to year. For week and weeks, and we scrape that week, and that's all there is to it, except we want to also scrape at the end the data that's for week 18, week equals 18, which is only available for 2021. Okay. So yeah, we've shown that test scraper works, and now we need to test this scrape all function. Well, we know that it works for a single week, so this basically just steps through the years and the weeks and scrapes it all. So this will be the end of this live stream. I'm gonna go ahead and finish it off as I'm getting the data. So scrape we're gonna make true. 1. Now if scrape is equal to true, we're gonna make a scraper object. And then we're gonna say scrape everything. All right, so there's our code. We started out with this. This I copy and pasted from another file, just some useful functions I like. This was copy and pasted from another file and edited a little bit. So that's up through line 67. Then we added in, first we did this class for the week page, which is like this whole web page. Inside the web page, we see here there's a table for each year. This web page has to do with 1 week. You can get a new web page for each week. On the week web page, there's a table for each year that shows the results, opening and closing lines. And then, so yeah, we made a table object, table class for dealing with that table. And then inside the table, there's each row is a game. So we finally made a class for dealing with the games. And then finally, made this master scraper class, which controls everything. Wrote some tests down here and added the scrape script. So altogether, this took about 2 hours, a little over 2 hours. And we wrote, let's see, it was at 67, so wrote about 160 lines of code. This is all tests though. So we're at 160, 172 to 2755. So yeah, right about 100 lines of code gets it so that you can scrape this website. So just to send it off here, let's do Python 3 get data .py, and it's not ready. Missing 2 required positional arguments, week and year. Scrape all of self. We don't want week and year as arguments. All right, now let's scrape it. All right, and now it's going to sit here scraping data. Nice. It's going to sit here scraping data. Every time it gets some data, it's going to put this in here for us. Oh, that's right. It started at 2007, so week 1, 2007. And here's all the data for that. Road versus home. So just to compare, week 1, 2007, the 7th game was Atlanta at Minnesota. So 2007, week 1, the 7th game, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, right, the index is off by 1. So Atlanta at Minnesota, 24-3. And just to make sure, Atlanta 3 at Minnesota 24. So that's it for this one. It's going through and getting the data right now. See, for 2007, it's up to week 6 now. And it's just going to keep scraping that data. And then once we have the data, we can clean it, organize it, and then try to do something with it. Thanks for watching.